23rd. So I'm going to go ahead and put these items onto our October 23rd study session, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for being here today, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, next up, we have item B1. Mayor Greg Wheeler here to present confirmation of appointment of Jack Paauw. You're going to have to make sure Paauw. That was so easy. Paauw to the Bremerton Planning Commission.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Good to see everybody tonight. And you have the resume in front of you and my request on the agenda item here. So I'm looking for your approval.
Counselors, questions? Yeah, go ahead. Denise, and then Jeff, did you have questions as well? Okay, Denise.
I'm actually somewhat familiar with Jack. When I was at the chamber, we worked pretty closely with Sound West, and we even honored Sound West one year with a Pivot Award because during the pandemic, they were able to move from a hotels type of operation to a long-term workforce housing operation in a pretty quick period of time. Little chamber award, but the person I was told by Wes Larson behind that really was Jack. And I also know that he has an incredible amount of expertise in multifamily development, particularly close to transportation hubs. He's Dutch, so he comes with kind of a appreciation for the bicycling community. I was delighted to see his name, Mayor. I have to tell you. So that's my knowledge and understanding of him.
Any other questions, Council? Yeah, Jane.
Well, it's really not a resume. It says where he currently works. But, one of the things that concerns me is having too many people in the development community on the planning commission. I think it's good that people have a good knowledge of it, but I think there's a lot of other people in the community too that are really knowledgeable and have worked in different cities or lived in different cities. And I'd like to see all of our commissions get a lot more diverse because none of them really are. And I know there was quite a few people who had sent in resumes to the Planning Commission over the summer. So I'm just kind of concerned that none of them were considered either.
So, all resumes are considered. When this opportunity came up to bring in somebody who can offer a perspective like Jack's, I feel in our planning department feels that's invaluable for planning. And so these Councilor Fry pointed out a pretty good perspective of what that lens might give us, especially when you get into situations where they had an extreme set of circumstances forcing them to pivot under incredibly arduous, circumstances, so conditions. And so I feel it's important to, I just feel that experience is important.
Anna? Yeah.
I think the whole multimodal thing is fantastic. Somebody who's familiar with a multimodal traffic being an integral part of the community is really great. And I would very much like to hear from Mr. Paauw I also feel this person is an older, right, 40 plus year career, an older developer. And I feel that these are well represented on the planning commission. I think that a planning commission that better reflects the diversity and the diversity in every way of the city of Bremerton would be planning for all of us. I think Mr. Paauw has many places where he could be serving, like complete streets, perhaps, for example. I don't know, but I feel that we've seen this extremely skilled developer person on the planning commission quite a bit, and I too would like to hear from different voices. Not to puff off my own constituent, but Grace Crowley had applied for the planning commission, and I think a young person who's thinking about Bremerton with the future for their 3-year-old child, how that 3-year-old child will move around and develop and meet people, I think would be really valuable for the planning commission. Thank you.
Michael?
Well, so I understand the sentiment that you're both expressing. But can you give me an idea of who else is on the planning commission? Because with my experience with planning commission, I don't feel like we've ever had this level of really in-depth knowledge. Granted, it could be. I think it could be valuable from when I've sat on it, because and it's not. I don't feel there's any kind of majority of this. There's, I'm trying to remember who's on the planning commission. Can we call on Director Spencer?
Oh, please, because I was gonna check in with Director Spencer as well. So
Nobody on the planning commission that has any development for this meeting.
All right,
thank you.
consent.
Any other words from counselors?
For this time, but no, it is a struggle sometimes, right? Because I know this application's from a year ago. I noticed that from October 5th, 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, and it's, I'm just thinking about a process in general, not the person. And so we do get, a paragraph or two. I would like to hear just a little more in depth on the decision-making process and what went into it. I know I've made that request before, Mayor. I think that would be helpful. I would like to look in the future to find a way, if there's maybe a way to do an informal interview. Planning commission is an important one, and I don't want to. I want to make sure somebody's stepping up to volunteer their time. I don't want it to be any sort of grilling, but just a little get to know them. I don't know this person. Good to hear experience, but so I got no concerns on this one, but maybe either for retreat or a topic down the line, we could discuss the overall process a little more.
Okay. Well,
Retreat topic, maybe?
that sounds like a good retreat topic. So I understand. I totally understand what you're saying too. And thank you, Director Spencer, for verifying what I was going to ask, which was how many developer types do we have on the planning commission? I think that, in my personal opinion, is that Director Spencer, along with Mayor Wheeler, have actually done a good job of diversifying the planning commission just recently. We made a couple of appointments recently of some young folks. And I don't have any issues. Do we want to do consent? This is the consent item?
We pretty much always do appointments.
Yeah, just want to make sure. I'm just checking in. Jane and Anna.
I guess.
Okay.
I asked every single person I spoke to today, and I named no names, I named no companies. I said, do you think that someone who works for a major developer should be sitting on the planning commission, which among many other tasks, revises and creates building permitting regulations. One person said yes, I think it would be a valuable voice, as long as it's not overwhelming. But every single other person was like, no, I think that's a conflict of interest. So I'm just passing that on. If the entire council wants it to go on consent, I'm not going to kick. I'm just saying. There's an incredible lack of knowledge of what true conflicts of interest are here in Kentucky. And it's come up here again. To make assumptions that people are developers and then to make that statement in a study session based obviously on misinformation or a biased assumption is not fair to this process. It's not fair to our council. And I will say once again, it bothers me that the word development and what it represents in this city is seen as some kind of a foul word. Development is good if it's for our city, if it's for the people who live in our city. It's necessary. If we don't develop, we stagnate and die. That's just a truth. So I've been a little offended during this process. I appreciate the pushback on gosh, it's another older white male, and yet especially when I hear that there's no developer on the planning commission, you need that perspective. You need to find out if an idea is going to pencil out. You need that expertise. It's not a majority on the planning commission. It's a voice, and often it's a voice of information that maybe if we had it, we would recognize those without it. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I think Anna has a valid point that I'll just pass. You can put it on consent.